a fun guest today. I just met her, and she talks about financial freedom and training our young people how to handle money, because maybe mom and dad didn't handle it that way, you know, that well, because credit is something probably that's the mindset of credit is probably passed down and inherited. But she talks about educate, involve, enlighten, and enrich. And she's wearing that today. Welcome, Pamela. I love your outfit.
Thank you so much. So glad to be here. So glad to be here.
And I love your outfit. It's got your message on it. And
absolutely. I try to mark it wherever I go.
Let's see your earrings. Let's pull your hair back.
Yep. It's my company earrings. It's BONA5D, which is the name of my company. And BONA5D, though it's spelled differently, it is the definition of bona fide, about being genuine and honest. And that's what we do at BONA5D Credit Consultants. And you're a walking advertisement. If you wear that out, I'm sure that people stop and say, okay, absolutely.
What does this mean?
Absolutely. It's definitely a conversation starter. So absolutely love it. Actually, a guy over in St. Pete did the jacket for me.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
Well,
his company is One of One Customs, and so he will create anything for you.
He did a beautiful job on that.
Absolutely.
She's also written this small book, but it's jam-packed full of a lot of wisdom, bona fide bits. And I was trying to think of the right word. The only thing I could come up with was pithy, that you have these little pithy sayings in here about money that stick.
Mm-hmm. And it's an easy read. It's only 69 pages, but it's broken down into 5 categories, and each category has 3 segments. And so it will give you an inspiration, and that inspiration can be a quote, something that I've read somewhere, something someone said, or it might even be a scripture. Mm-hmm. And then it will give you a life application, and then a financial application. So
yeah, and it's very educating, but entertaining, and I would say non-threatening.
Non-threatening, absolutely. That's why I say it's an easy read, and it's written for any audience. So young or old, male or female, teenager, more seasoned, it really doesn't matter. There's something in this book for everyone.
Well, tell me about Pamela. Were you raised in a Christian home?
I was definitely raised in a Christian home. That was one of the greatest gifts from my parents to me, was my introduction to the Lord.
Listen to that, parents.
He is the staple. Everything I do in my life is surrounding him.
Now, what got you so interested that you went to college and got a business degree and more to make that kind of your life's work?
You know, initially I was actually into fashion and all of that, and I kind of
That's obvious.
Well, you know, but I was missing the people part. You know, and know thyself is the first rule of engagement. And
Didn't Shakespeare say that?
I need to engage with people. And so when I graduated from college, I got accepted into the Sears Management Training Program on the credit side. And I really wasn't thinking in depth about credit at that time, but I thought, oh, wow, this will be an awesome experience to learn something new. And so I finished the program, and that was my niche. And through that, I learned everything credit, from how the janitor ordered the toilet paper for the facility right up to the CEO. And after leaving Sears, I worked for Service Merchandise and Credit. And at that time, I was more on the policy side, so writing the policies and procedures related to credit. And then left there, and I was 15 years at a credit card bank. And my last job at the bank was Vice President of Collections, Recovery, and Fraud. So all things credit. And people, oh gosh, you really enjoy collections? I do. It gave me an opportunity to educate people, to help them. People, when they're in collections, everybody's not there because they're a deadbeat and I got this with no intention to pay. Life happens to people. And so it was an opportunity to educate them and give them some tools that they could use, not only to turn their current situation around, but things that would be foundational in their finances for their family. And in doing that, people would, oh, can you help me with my credit? Because I know that's kind of what I did for work, and I knew how to read credit reports and all of that. And so people at church and family were asking for assistance. And then, oh, you really should do that for a living. So many people need this, you know, this education, this knowledge to help them. And I kind of like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. But then there was a season, late 2007, early 2008, and it was like everywhere I turned. We went and visited a church. the sermon had something to do with, you know, and then walking in your purpose and all of this, and it just kept coming, and every people I would meet for the first time, oh, you need to do this, you know. And I thought, okay, Lord, I hear you, because it was coming from all sides, so you can't avoid this. And then so I acquiesced.
Well, it's needed.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so many people with no victory in their life, and I mean what I say, because I've met them, just because of credit and bills that just controls their thinking 24 hours. I mean, they don't even sleep well.
Exactly.
And you deal mostly with the credit. You probably could, but you're not a financial planner,
right,
or any of that. And just the short conversations I've had with you, I never realized there was so much to talk about with credit.
Absolutely. A typical workshop that I do or seminar is 4.5 hours easy, you know, and it's all things credit and finance. There's so many things that go into that. So it's not like a la carte where, well, let's just talk about credit cards, or let's just talk about the credit report. You can't, because all these things work together, building your financial foundation. So
how do you approach, I'm simple, no do, no go, which is, I think, a lot of problems in Americans' lives and families today, and it does rob them. It robs them of a good life.
Absolutely. And the sooner you can learn it, the better off you are. So I tell people, it doesn't matter what age you truly get it, meaning learning and understanding money management. If you get it later in life, all that means is your time horizon to benefit is shorter. But what we teach and preach at Bonafide Credit Consultants is that generational transfer is important as well. And so if you don't get it until you're 45 or 50, that's okay. If you really get it, then that means you can transfer that knowledge to your children, to your grandchildren. And so generationally, they'll get it at 15, at 20, which means their whole adult life they'll have good money management skills.
Yeah, we want to put your website up and, you know, make note of it. You say if you want to get out of debt, create a spending plan and commit to needed sacrifices. I commend you for putting that up front. It's not sugar-coated.
Absolutely.
That grow up and put on your adult clothes and you realize you're going to have to sacrifice.
You have to sacrifice, just like in the Word. I mean, you know, it requires that you can't be the same person you were yesterday if you're saying, I want to live the life that He has for me. You know, that means some changes are going to have to occur, which means you're going to have to give up sacrifice some things to be this new you. And the same is true for your finances. You can't keep making the same financial decisions hoping that you're going to get a different result. So
I'd like to sit through your seminar. Also, you say, you quote, "Dear past, thank you for all my lessons. Dear future, I'm ready." Boy, that's concise.
That's it. You got to let go of the old. I mean, you know, again, I keep going back to Scripture, and that's just because He is such an important part of my life. But scripturally, when you're talking, you cannot receive a blessing when your hand is closed. You know, so you're holding on to something that you feel like you can't let go. Well, He can't bless you with something new as long as you're holding on to that old thing. And so that's part of even the motto of Bonafide is that, and you'll notice in the book, the categories, there's 5 categories, which are my 5 E's for Bonafide, but it starts out in the book with a closed fist and it says financial captivity. And that's what it is. So when you educate, you empower, you evolve, you enlighten, and you enrich. Financial freedom is right there in the palm of your hand, but you got to let go of the old stuff to receive the new things that He has for you.
And you know, I believe this is part of the abundant life.
Absolutely.
It's nice to have money in the bank, that's great, but I'll tell you, part of the abundant life is to have no debt.
Because that frees your mind.
Yeah,
because
it frees you.
You were talking about that earlier, how it just burdens you down. Every aspect of your life, you're focused and thinking about the money and getting out of debt and what am I going to do? Are they going to repossess my car? Am I going to get evicted? All of those things, because it's about the money. And so imagine if all of those things were worry-free. What kind of life? What would you be thinking about and focusing on? You know, joy and happiness and spending time with your family and the things that are important.
Yeah, I made a commitment a long time to go to be debt-free, and one of the greatest blessings is whether you're kind of rich or poor, if you have no debt and you see someone in need, you can hand them the 5, you can hand them the 10, you can write out the check. I think that is the most exhilarating Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I just typed up some of her pithy stuff. I liked it so much. She says, do you think about money long term or short term? And then she quotes John Sinclair, failure is a bruise, not a tattoo.
Absolutely.
And as I thought about that, I thought all of us can look back and grieve and have all kinds of angst over some of the financial decisions we made in the past. So don't go there.
Yes. It's not permanent. And that's the motto of that quote is, you know, it's only temporary. If you make the changes, you can do something different. The outcome can be very different. It's not permanent. And I think just knowing that inspires people to, you know, again, you use that word commitment, and that's what it's going to require, that commitment and sacrifice to make the changes needed to change your financial future.
And you know, I've noticed people, they've had enormous credit card debt and so forth, but as they begin and they commit, I'm not talking about anything spiritual at the moment, as they commit, it seems like some extra money comes their way to keep knocking that down. And that just must be a universal law.
It is. You know, when you're doing good things
and
moving on the right path.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And though you said it's not spiritual, but it is in a way. I mean,
it's a law of reciprocity.
Absolutely. When you're doing the right things, he's going to bless the bless.
You're right. He blesses the right thing. He blesses the right thing.
And when you're doing what he would have you to do, he's overjoyed by that. And so he's going to give you, he wants us to do well. He wants you, you know, and maybe, you know, your circumstance, that's his doing as well. And so he wants us to do well. And if you were in a bad financial situation and then you come out, people are looking and observing. And so that's an opportunity to introduce him, because how did you do that? You know, what were you doing? You know, so now you have an opportunity to tell them what you did to get in the situation. But more importantly, you get to show them how I came out on the other side. And that's what he wants, is that opportunity to introduce him to somebody who may not have, in any other circumstance, had the opportunity to meet him.
I have an expert credit consultant with me today. Her name is Pamela McCoy, if you just tuned in. And I got a copy of this BONA5DCC, and I knew she would be a great guest on the program. Pamela, I think I've had financial people on here, and we've promoted Dave Ramsey's books and so forth, but I don't think I've ever had anybody just talk about credit. And when you described the course you took, it took several months, right? I thought, you know, this is not for the faint of heart. What you learned, I just thought you get a credit card and you pay so much, or you pay it all or something, and that was it. That's my experience with it, but there's a lot more to it.
Oh, absolutely. For me, I say I'm your MSI, and people are, oh, what, CSI, FBI, I heard those acronyms.
Yeah.
MSI, Mind Shift Initiator, because everything, all of these things that I teach, it's all boils down to your mindset. You know, you have to have made up your mind, I'm willing to sacrifice, I'm willing to make that commitment. If your mindset hasn't shifted from the old mindset, then you won't be successful. You know, you've got to make up your mind. I'm ready. That's what the tattoo. I'm ready now. When you're saying goodbye to your past behavior and hello to the future, when you say I'm ready, that means, you know what? I'm committed.
You promote self-talk, and I believe in that. When you're trying to change something, and you're trying to make a real difference in your life and go a different direction, talk to yourself. And you say self-talk is an important part of the process on the path to financial freedom. What do you have in mind on self-talk?
Well, it's other people may not be along for the hard part of the journey. And so they might start out, you know, you've got a few encouragers, a few cheerleaders, oh, this is great, rah, rah, rah. But when you're at that fork in the road, should I use this money towards getting out of debt, or this latest whatever, the latest electronics, the newest car, the newest fashion, whatever your thing is, should I or shouldn't I? Well, no one's there but you, yourself, and I to decide how should I spend that money. And so you've got to self-talk, you know, what's more important to me? You know,
I
can make that sacrifice today, and a year from now, 6 months, where am I going to be? You know, so that really is.
That is a great point. We're almost out of time, but I would like to say, I would like to have you come back and we can get more into the details. But when you talk to middle schoolers sometimes.
I do. During the summer, I usually designate summer for youth. So this past summer, I actually had a contract with the Boys and Girls Club. So I taught 6th, 7th, and 8th graders money management, basic at their level. Everything is customized, so it's at their level that they can understand. And I also partner with another nonprofit, Salita's House. This was my 3rd summer with them, and their age grouping is 13 to 17, and we do what's called Fit Camp. And the FIT stands for Financially Intelligent Teens, and so we're teaching them.
Are they real interested in this?
They love it, because what we try to do is not make it like school. It's during the summertime. We know you really don't want to be there. Some of them they're under duress because their mom made them come. But we make it fun. So we do activities around the concept so that they can learn it, again, at their own level. But these are foundational. So this is going to change their life forever.
Do most of them have an allowance or something, and they work around that?
It varies, because the kids that come are from various economic backgrounds.
Yeah.
And so depending on your economic background will dictate whether you have an allowance or a part-time job, because again, we have through 17, so some of them, the 16 and 17-year-olds, might have a little part-time job even. So we're teaching them how to manage whatever monies you have. You might only get money on your birthday and Christmas or whatever, but you need to do well with that money. You can't spend everything you have. Because even at that young age, because I have done smaller children at my church, and it's really about setting that mindset.
Yeah.
So at an early age, if I understand I should not spend everything that I have, you know, even if you're 6 or 7 and you get that concept, that'll bode well for you.
Well, before you come back, I want you to think of some of the questions they ask you and write them down, and we'll go over those. But we are out of time for right now. And I know that this is a subject that just probably 99% of all the people in the world are interested in. And you know, for my own wish for you and prayer for you is that you would be debt-free. It's a lot better life when that happens, and that's why we bring people like Pamela on. Hey, join me next time, remembering there's no higher calling than that of a homekeeper. God bless you.